Hello, I'm Christine Rudolph and welcome to our latest episode of Grow. Today's special guest is Julia Scott, the founder of Loveluckwealth. Julia is a qualified accountant and financial advisor, but ironically in her 40s found herself on the brink of financial disaster. Julia managed to turn her life around and in doing so has decided to empower others to help them understand how to take control of their finances. So if you'd like to know your money personality, how to feng shui your finances, and how to create the financial future of your dreams, I'm sure you're going to enjoy our podcast with Julia. Julia, thanks so much for being with us today. It's really wonderful to have you with us. Julia, you've got quite a remarkable story. You're a qualified accountant and a financial advisor, as I've said, but life sort of took you in an unexpected direction, actually in your 30s, and you suddenly found yourself, despite your qualifications, as being on the verge of almost financial ruin. How did you climb out of that?
Well, what happened there was, yes, I did always have qualifications to fall back on when I got divorced, and a lot of women don't. And some women find that strange. Why don't you just go and get a job? But money's very emotional, careers are very emotional, and when you've been out for a while and raising children, you lose your self-confidence. And I used to be very ambitious and have a great career, and then I stopped to have children. And when you go through those emotional turmoils of divorce, there's a lot of stress involved, and there's been research done to say when you're in a time of stress, your IQ drops by almost half. So it's really difficult to make decisions, throw in a bit of depression and things like that, and it's not fun.
It's very interesting because there was actually an article in The Australian yesterday just about this dilemma that women, like yourself have, very ambitious career women. They stop to do the most important job of the world, being a mother, and, put a successful career on hold. As you said, there is that mother's guilt and that dilemma. You made the choice to put your family first. And, unfortunately, sort of in doing so, stopped off the career merry-go-round. Yes. That's exactly right. So there are a lot of women who find themselves, unfortunately, in this position. We're not just sort of talking about the women today, we're talking about the men as well. But I think in your particular story, you really had to reinvent yourself. How did you have the courage to actually pick yourself up after, as you've really been very honest and vulnerable in saying, how did you overcome severe depression, being left with absolutely nothing, with two children on your own? Yeah. How did you manage to pick yourself up and turn yourself around?
Well, I think at the end of the day, you look at those two beautiful children and you're like, and they were only very young, like preschool age, and they depend on you, and I didn't have any family nearby, and I had to get it together, So you get to that point where you literally ask for divine inspiration, because that's the only alternative you have left. And so I went through that, and then I found all these amazing books and things on feng shui, a lot of mindset and just lifting your vibe, happiness, all that kind of stuff. And I thought, right, I'm going to read a book every week and just get in as much learning as I can in this area and then put it into practice. And that's how I started.
So it's an incredible story, because I guess in what you've realised is, being in your position, you've obviously realised that you're not the only woman who has gone through this. No. So you've actually then decided, right, well, what can I do? I can use my accountancy skills, I can use my financial planning skills, and I can actually turn this around. And you've created Loveluckwealth, and that's actually designed not just to empower women, but anyone with getting in control of their finances.
Yes, yeah, because finances really, and it's not just about the money. There's so many different other levels. Like, this is why I have the love, the luck, and the wealth, because really that love component is loving yourself and not beating yourself up for making financial mistakes in the past, because the past is the past and you have to leave it there. Otherwise you can't move forward. So you have to be able to make that break and go, right, I can do things better now. You go and you get the help that you need, you read the books that you need to read, you make the changes you need to change. And then the luck component for me was the feng shui, the energy of money, and how we can set up our surroundings to invoke the feelings of wealth and to align your environment with your goals and intentions. Just that's that extra level, yeah.
What I think is an incredible testimony to this is that you have often spoken to me about how you've had the power of writing down your goals, having gratitude on a daily basis, and also visualizing. So you're actually a manifester. I know you're a great believer in manifestation. Your lucky break, I guess, came because you actually put an intention out there that you wanted to go back into financial planning, and lo and behold, you had a knock on the door, and what happened?
Yeah, well, it was just one of my son's friends. His mum had come to pick him up, and she said, what is it that you do again? And I told her I was in finance. I told her about my qualifications, and she's like, oh my God, we are looking for exactly you in our firm. It was a new firm that had just been set up. It was my dream job, wealth management for some of the wealthiest families in the country, and they were looking for literally a single mum with finance qualifications and with the ability to speak to their female clients so that they can resonate more with their female clients. So I walked straight into that job, and it was like synchronicity after synchronicity. It was just brilliant.
So, you know, now that you are have taken the leap of faith, and it is a huge leap of faith to actually start your own business, you've really stepped out of your comfort zone. One of the things that I know a lot of people have been very interested in is money personalities. So what's quite inspiring about your approach to money is that you help people understand that they actually have patterns and habits with money. And something that I think is very remarkable about this is that you could have two people married, and once they understand their money personality, they'll understand why one loves to go out there and, let's say, buy a beautiful car, while the other one's at home saying, oh no, don't buy a beautiful car. So this is all due to money personality types. Tell us a little bit about that. That's fascinating.
Yeah, well, there's no one way to do money, which is why just following the traditional financial path of just doing, you know, a numerical financial plan doesn't always work for people. You need to be emotionally invested. It needs to be aligned with your values and just your inner being kind of thing, like who you see yourself as when you're your best wealthy self. Some people really seek that sense of security from having a nice stash of cash there. They're the people.
That's the accumulator.
Yes, that's the accumulator. Yes. They love to hoard money, and that sounds like a great problem to have, but ironically, if you go too far down the accumulator path, you end up missing out on opportunities because you don't spend that money in order to learn and grow and take risks and elevate your business, buy property, all those kinds of things. Then you have the other end of the scale, which is someone like a romantic, which is somebody who loves the experience. And if they see money there, they think this needs to be spent. We need to use it because you can't, do anything with it when you die. That kind of philosophy. They both have their merits.
So I guess in a lot of the work that you do, talking about the money personalities to your clients, it must be very helpful for your clients to go have the light bulb moment and go, oh my goodness. That's why I love going into David Jones and going on a spending spree, because I'm a romantic and it gives me that feeling. Do you find that by helping people to understand their money personality type, it actually helps them to get back on track with their finances and their goals?
Of course, because everybody has unique strengths and weaknesses, right? So if you can understand what your challenges are and you can shine a light on them, you become aware of them. You can put some guardrails in place so you're not going to be susceptible to running off to David Jones every day or every time. Yeah, every time you need that emotional sort of injection. You can find other ways to get that emotional injection. And one of the biggest things you can do is to set up a vision board for your long-term financial goals, because if you keep meeting all of these short-term bursts of wants and needs, you're never going to reach your long-term goals. So you've got to keep your eye on the prize, and it's all about bringing that long-term into the present with lots of anchors and daily reminders of why it's not okay for you to go shopping today, because you're choosing to spend that money on something else. It's never like you can't do that or feeling of lack, because that's not what we want to encourage. We want to encourage this powerfulness and that I'm choosing to do something for my long term.
I love that. This also ties into another remarkable concept that you have about feng shui. And you've actually taken this Eastern philosophy and you've turned it into money, which is incredible. And I guess, when we go back to you understanding the money personality type, I've heard you say on an interview, you've been featured extensively in the media, and what really attracted me to find out more about what you do is where you were talking about a money personality type that was the accumulator, and they accumulated everything, and they had broken furniture in their house and broken bowls. Yeah. You've taken the feng shui side of this and you've actually transformed them. So in a situation like that, what would be your feng shui advice to the accumulator? Who's the hoarder? Who keeps those chipped bowls and those 20-year-old cupboards that are falling apart? Yeah. How can you help them break that mindset?
It's all about facing your fears, and the biggest fear for the accumulator is losing control and not having that big stash of cash or not having value in their life. They want to have value in everything they do, and it leads to analysis paralysis and, as I said, missed opportunities. But you can elevate your wealth consciousness by fixing broken things around the house. Doesn't cost a lot of money. Maybe upgrading some little things in your life, like your toothbrush or something, and allow yourself to go to the supermarket and pick any toothbrush you want without looking at the price. Just test yourself on that, because of a lot of accumulators, they really have trouble, even with small items like that, and they want to get the best value, and it takes up brain capacity, and that brain and energy capacity could be directed into money-making activities. So we want to learn to calm that. We've got to face that fear, and once you face it and take that leap of faith and do something different, something you don't usually do, you'll feel the relief because everything's still okay, and now you've elevated your wealth consciousness, and you'll find new synchronicities come into your life, new alignments come in, because you've shown the universe that you're ready to step up to the next level.
It's absolutely transformational. The other thing that you and I have in common is that we're both mums, and we both have young children, and children who are who are in the workforce or getting into the workforce. And I think as a parent, one of our biggest concerns for our younger generation is how do they get a start? You're quite passionate about teaching children and teenagers, your own kids included, into managing money from an early age. And that even includes understanding the share market. So, we're covering, the whole spectrum here of everyone today. But I would like to sort of leave this today on what would be your advice today for a young person who's looking ahead, who's overwhelmed, who's thinking, how am I ever going to afford to get into the property market? How am I going to afford to start accumulating, my own nest egg? Where do you start?
Yeah, well, you just have to start. That's the first thing. And even if generally that means starting with paying yourself first with a savings account, and as your money comes in, put a portion of that away, right? And you need to do that before you even look at bills, before you look at your debt. Pay yourself first. Just a small portion, even if you start with $20 a week or a month, whatever you can afford, and then you gradually sort of stretch yourself into that, and then all of a sudden you'll be putting away double, triple, or 10 times that. You just got to start the habit. It's not about how much to begin with, it's just about starting. Start with where you're at, what you've got, but do something different, because if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting the same result, which is not going anywhere.
So I guess our key message today to everyone is it really doesn't matter where you are in life. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out in the workforce. It doesn't matter if you have just come out of a terrible divorce, or, you know, like Julia, in her 40s with nothing, having to start again. You are testimony that it is possible. So what is your greatest tip that you could say to people to give them hope that anything is possible, regardless of your circumstances and regardless of your age?
Well, just use your imagination. Your imagination is your most powerful asset, and it's free. So allow yourself to go there on what if you couldn't fail? What if there were no limits to what you could achieve? What would you want to do? And just allow yourself to think about that. Don't keep coming and going as if that's never going to happen and I can't do that. You don't know that for sure. If you can dream it, you can become it. You have to allow yourself to go there. You have to write it down, and then you take the first step. You don't have to know all the steps, but I guarantee you will find more information, and then you will get the next step and the next step. And before you know it, you're much more closer to this pie in the sky dream that you could ever dream of. And even if you just land here, it's still so much better than staying here.
Julia, it's just wonderful. You're an incredibly generous person as well. I know on your website there are so many incredible free resources, including how I found you, and that's the free money personality test, which I can absolutely encourage everyone to do, and then take a complimentary 15-minute phone consult with Julia, where she will actually unpack your money personality type. Absolutely incredible. Julia, it's a delight to have you with us. We thank you for everything, and we wish you every continued success.
Thanks so much, Christine. I'm really loving what you're doing here. It's amazing.